Hello and welcome to our latest video update. My name's Stuart Wilson. I'm the Corporate Marketing Director at More to Life, and joining me as ever is Ben War, our Director of Operations and Change. Good afternoon to you, Ben. It's great to see you again, and we are now well into February, well into the lockdown 3.0. Lots of encouraging news, I suppose, around vaccine rollout, but still no definitive end in sight to lockdown or what may come after the end of this current lockdown period. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to have a quick catch up and find out how things are faring in the world of More to Life as we navigate our way through this latest lockdown period.
Sure. Hi, Stuart. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all staying safe in lockdown 3.0. Basically, yeah, I mean, we're in a good space. Thank you, Stuart. I mean, in terms of the pipeline end to end from application to completion, it's very much a game of two halves, really, this year. Pre-offer is very, very strong. So our valuer at eServe are seeing customers and doing valuations very, very quickly indeed faster in many cases than we saw back in pre-COVID times. And we've seen valuations go through in 24, 48, 72 hours for a good number of cases. Probably on average about 3 to 4 days is what we're seeing at the moment. Very occasional hotspot, bad weather related issues and things like that as we look forward to forecast of snow this week. Obviously I need to keep my fingers crossed for that, as that will no doubt delay a few. But on generally speaking, pre-offer is very, very strong. We have new underwriters that are fully qualified and holding mandates this year. We've also introduced a new pre-offer team as well to identify cases where we've had valuations back for more than 2 days. And we still haven't gone to offer to try and intercept those stickier cases and do something with them to move them along faster. And that's having a real impact. So pre-offer, very, very strong. Post-offer, on the other hand, it's unfortunately, we're going back to what we've seen in previous lockdowns. So if the case involves a redemption statement, for example, that can be quite sticky with some lenders, including some of the mainstream bigger lenders. And also what we've seen, unfortunately, is definitely a slowdown happening with land registry as well. So whereas before, simple things that we would need land registry to do, such as changing your name, removing an old charge, those sorts of things, could be 2 or 3 days pre-COVID. We then saw that drift out to about 5 or 6 weeks in the middle of last year in peak land registry backlog. Then it drift down again to maybe just 2 or 3 weeks, in some cases going faster than that, in particularly in November, December time. Unfortunately, in January again, we've seen all of those service levels go back up to 5 or 6 weeks again. I know as well that Land Registry are hiring an awful lot of people, and I think that just plays to the fact that their backlogs are growing again, unfortunately not shrinking, probably very, very busy by stamp duty, which I know we're going to come on to talk about in a minute, and other factors like that. So pre-offer, very, very strong. Post-offer, it's stickier, but we are still getting cases through.
That's good to know. Thanks, Ben. And yeah, you mentioned the stamp duty holiday there, which we know, as it stands today, is due to end on the 31st of March. Lots of rumours about perhaps a transitional or cutover period, or maybe even an extension in the extreme. But as it stands today, that comes to an end at the end of March, and we know that's creating a huge amount of volume and activity in the residential mortgage market. But that's also spilling over into equity release, isn't it? Because equity release, as we know, can be used for purchase. It's perhaps one of the less common things that equity release is used for, but we've seen a bit of a spike recently, haven't we, in terms of KFIs and applications linked to stamp duty, linked to the purchase cases that are trying to beat the stamp duty deadline. So what's is it just sheer volume of cases that's causing the problem? What's the issue that's brewing here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely volume related, as people, unsurprisingly, are wanting to save tens of thousands of pounds in some cases of stamp duty. So the whole market, not just in equity release, but the whole of mortgage lending really is being driven by purchases at the moment in a way that we've not seen So I would estimate probably 15 to 20% of our pipeline is purchase cases at the moment. That's probably before, in normal times, if you like, that would probably be about 5 to 8%. So you can see how it's increased. Obviously, purchasing, as we know, brings together its own challenges as well, particularly for new builds and things like that that may not be registered. So there's some complexity there. And typically, if chains are involved as well of purchasers and sellers, then again, that can cause challenges because there are very tight windows in which cases have got to complete. It's not like a remortgage where you maybe have a bit more flexibility to get a case over the line and completed and the funds released and so on. So you've got this huge well of demand. And unfortunately, all of the big conveyancers are struggling with lack of capacity in terms of highly qualified technical solicitors to deal with this volume. There's not that many of them around that are very, very good technically qualified conveyancers in the big firms. And unfortunately, therefore, they are struggling to get through all the volume that they have. And also, of course, I think there's some reluctance in some cases as well to bring on lots of new resource because this is perceived very much to be a bit of a bubble. And once we get through the 31st of March, then we expect the number of purchase cases to come back down to a more normal level. So therefore, you've got this, as I say, a bit of a perfect storm, huge amounts of demand, not much supply in terms of qualified staff, and that is causing a few issues.
Right, so as we're recording this today on the 8th of February, we're what, sort of 6 weeks or so from that cliff edge, unless the Chancellor does something to extend that. So things are looking pretty tight right now to get a case through as a purchase case. Even during normal times, that would be quite a tight timescale, wouldn't it? So given that I think you mentioned that we've probably seen a tripling, if not a little bit more of these cases. What's More to Life doing to help advisors that have purchase cases to get the best possible chance of getting these through before the deadline?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's one that I've spent a lot of time with my management team and our partners to talk about how we're going to manage this situation. So the first thing we're doing, Stuart, is we're having very regular dialogue with our conveyancers. So that's Enact and Optima, depending on the particular product that's involved. And we've got a very good handle on what cases they've got, what deadlines that the customers that those solicitors are working with have got to in terms of their ideal completion dates, as I say, particularly with an eye on those chains that I was talking about earlier. And that's really important, is that we stay very close with them. We've all got the same view of what cases need to complete, what cases are there as purchases, when do they need to complete, and more importantly, of course, what do we need to do to complete them. So there's a lot of spreadsheets at the moment in my operation as well, and we've put more people into a team that is dedicated and ring-fenced to just look at purchase cases. And that can be existing customers as well. So we have a lot of customers at the moment porting, for example. So they've got an equity release loan on their current property, but they want to move to a new one. And so that's quite a complex process as well. So again, we've got dedicated people and new people that have gone into both the porting and the purchase teams to try and work with our solicitors to do that. We're also working very closely with the customer solicitors, so particularly Equilor, Gilroy Steel, GW, and those sorts of people as well, because they have the same issues we are. They're desperate for their customers to complete and save all this money. And by working together, we believe we can work most effectively and get as many cases as we possibly can through as fast as possible to hit the deadlines that customers and obviously are working to. So that's a big part of it. But I'd also like to just mention, if I may, Stuart, that there's a big role for advisors here. If you're working with a customer that's got a deadline, it's really important that we're clear on what that deadline is, and that the customer is talking to their solicitor and talking to them about what dates they're working to. It's also very important that they're very clear on the offer conditions that we've set to complete the loan. And again, they are working to help educate the customer. If the customer's not quite sure what we're asking for, or the customer solicitor is not quite sure what we're working to, then again, we need to work as one team, the broker, the customer solicitor, ourselves and our solicitors, to make sure that we are clearing all those offer conditions down, getting all the paperwork we need, getting the case clean and ready for completion as fast as we can. And in that, if we work together like that, then I'm sure we can get all of these cases through. But as you said, you know, the reality is we're probably 7 or 8 weeks away, at least as we sit here today, with a cliff edge of, as soon as it hits the 1st of April, no stamp duty relief is payable. So, you know, it's going to be a very exciting, I think, few weeks ahead as we try and get all these cases through. But you can absolutely rest assured we're doing everything we can here at More to Life to work with our specialist third parties to get these cases through as fast as we can, and to help the customers save money. But you know, brokers, as I say, can definitely help us with that process and make sure your customers save that money too.
Great stuff, thanks Ben. And just as a postscript to that, in the not too distant future, what we're going to be doing is sending out a nice little sales aid for advisors, which just gives some tips around how you can help your customers get through the process quickly. So little guides and tips on how to push purchase cases through really quickly. As you said, Ben, it's critical, isn't it, that advisors work really close hand in hand with their clients, with the client solicitors, to make sure that every angle of this is covered to speed the process and to shorten that time frame as much as possible in order to meet this demand. So keep an eye on your inboxes for that new sales aid coming through in the next few days. But for now, Ben, thanks for that update. That was really helpful. We'll keep obviously everyone posted on not only the stamp duty situation as we find out more information from government in the fullness of time, but of course ongoing issues connected to COVID and the ongoing lockdown situation as and when they arise. But for now, Ben, thanks once again for your time this afternoon, and we'll see you all on the next video. Thanks very much.
Thanks everyone. Stay safe. Take care.